Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. After multiple franchises and some intense moments, I'll say it, the Real Housewives needs to end. We, as reality television consumers, have astronomically high expectations. We have been spoiled with such exceptional series that when they don't feel like they're reaching the point of their heyday, we feel let down. Such is the case for the Real Housewives. The early seasons of the OG franchises have an important place in reality television. If you refer to a table flip or Scary Island or that cat meme, it's because of the impact the Bravo shows have had on pop culture. One reason they had such longevity is because of the ability to swap cast members in and out. The show would constantly shift as new friendships and rivalries emerged. And for a long period of time, we've used it as a band-aid. When we didn't like a cast or recognized a show was falling off a cliff, when certain cast members refused to film together, we'd beg Andy Cohen and Bravo for a reboot or recast. And now, it seems the call for change occurs after every season now. It's a dark timeline for the Real Housewives cinematic universe, as we learn that there may be an expiration date for these franchises. Since 2006, The Real Housewives has changed the face of reality television. As each new edition joined the family, they simply took off. They had a similar formula but showcased a different region of the country, and thus different stories. Some of the series were groundbreaking for the women they featured, such as The Real Housewives of Atlanta, or for their pop culture impact, like The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Others just couldn't find their footing, like The Real Housewives of DC, but in the end, the demand for more has always been at the top of Bravo's priority list. Unlike a fine wine, The Real Housewives doesn't age beautifully, and that's partially our fault. Unless you're a flat-out cancellation, fans demand reset when they believe their favorite series aren't working. But when you do it so often, is it really helping or hurting? Cast swaps help with longevity. But is there actually a sell-by date on The Real Housewives? The shows have shifted from their original mission statement to prioritize highlighting drama at every turn rather than showcasing the average wife and mother. You know, the reality television tropes. We don't want to see the shows go away, but have certain franchises reach the end of their rope. Perhaps the biggest sign that The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is in trouble was the addition of Rachel Zoe as a diamond holder. Her casting is a major move for Bravo, as it marks her triumphant return to reality television. But to drop her into the turmoil currently embroiling the women of 90,210 seems like a last-ditch method to fix the bigger problems the series is facing. If you have Rachel Zoe to distract, then you don't have to force Kyle Richards to talk about her personal life. It all seems calculated, which is ironic. That's how certain storylines have played out. The Real Housewives of New York City has always been a top-tier series, but after Season 13's negative reception, Bravo opted to start from scratch, recast the series, and reboot RHONY. 2 seasons into the experiment, RHONY has a new set of woes, and it's the same issue every other franchise has experienced. Something's not working, and thus, the show is in that infamous Bravo pause. Across the Hudson River, The Real Housewives of New Jersey is facing its own limbo, because Teresa Giudice and Melissa Gorga refused to film together, causing a rift within the rest of the cast. The show is currently chemistry testing as Dolores Catania is spending the summer with a new Italian-American friend group, as a new East Coast-centric series is on its heels. Does it mean there's a chance these shows could be kaput? With RHONY failing the reboot test, will other shows be unable to attempt the reboot theory? If it's too hard to completely gut a show, there have been ways to fix the chemistry with old faces. The Real Housewives of Atlanta was facing a massive cast drop before Season 16, so they brought back Portia Williams in hopes it would soften the uncertainty of the 3 new cast members. We've clearly learned that the Brit Edie experiment bombed. Right now, the only way to save RHOA is to convince Nene Leakes to come back and shake things up. There's always the opportunity to invite someone who has left and give them less work as a friend of, like Cynthia Bailey on RHOA or Taylor Armstrong. Jumping from RHOBH to RHOC. The 19th season of RHOC is trying to bring an old friend back, Gretchen Rossi, back to the fold, but after watching the new trailer, it's hard to wonder if the sell-by date has arrived. When the trailer features a lie detector test to fill the 3-minute-long trailer, is it fluff when the Real Housewives franchise felt like lightning in a bottle, a dazzling, chaotic reflection of wealth, glamour, and unfiltered human behavior? When The Real Housewives of Orange County premiered in 2006, it offered something wildly fresh, an unscripted peek behind the wrought iron gates of suburban excess. It was aspirational, scandalous, and hypnotic. Soon after, New York, Atlanta, New Jersey, Beverly Hills, and a slew of other cities joined the sorority, and for a while, it worked. It worked so well, in fact, that it became a cultural juggernaut. But like all empires built on spectacle and excess, there comes a point when the curtain has to close, and I'll say it, even if Bravo won't. The Real Housewives needs to end. Why? Let's start with the obvious. There are too many of them. Spin-off fatigue is real. With over 10 US-based franchises, some long-running, some mercifully short-lived, and several international versions, the brand has become bloated. What was once a guilty pleasure has become a full-time commitment. Between weekly episodes, reunion specials, and Ultimate Girls Trip spin-offs, it's less of a TV show and more of a lifestyle choice, and not necessarily a healthy one. But the quantity isn't the only issue. The quality has cratered. The earlier seasons were gold because they were grounded in a weird way. Sure, these women had Botox and Range Rovers, but they also had PTA meetings, troubled marriages, and real emotions. They weren't auditioning to be celebrities. They were just living large, and often clumsily in front of us. Now it feels like most new cast members show up with glam squads, storylines, and media strategies. The authenticity is gone. Even worse, the franchise has veered from melodrama to emotional warfare. Conflict used to be petty and delicious. Someone didn't get invited to a dinner party, or said the wrong thing about someone's outfit. Now, we've seen tables flipped, wigs pulled, drinks thrown, lawsuits filed, and reputations shattered. What began as a voyeuristic peek at the elite has morphed into a gladiator arena, where the biggest prize is attention, and the cost is humanity. It's not entertaining anymore, it's exhausting. Fans often say they're in on the joke, that they know it's manufactured drama, that it's camp, that it's ironic. But how ironic can it be when real people's lives are torn apart on camera? When women are encouraged to expose their deepest traumas in exchange for a few more confessionals? Or when a franchise like Salt Lake City features legal drama involving actual federal crimes? It's no longer just catfights in couture. It's real-life indictments, custody battles, and mental health breakdowns, all served up as content. And while reality television has always walked a tightrope between documentation and exploitation, The Real Housewives has fallen off that rope completely. We've stopped watching women live and started watching them unravel. And let's talk about the culture it perpetuates. For a show that has covered cities across the map and featured women of various backgrounds, the message is surprisingly consistent. Status is everything. Wealth, appearances, and performative friendships are the currency of the realm. That would be fine if it were satire, but the show rarely acknowledges the absurdity of its values. Instead, it reinforces them. Time and again, viewers are told that it's okay to be cruel if your shoes are expensive, that loyalty is optional, and that healing can wait until after the reunion special. Then there's the fandom. While many fans are smart, self-aware, and genuinely love the campy spirit, the discourse surrounding The Real Housewives has become just as toxic as the show itself. Cast members are doxxed, harassed, and villainized online. Stan culture has turned real people into avatars and storylines into wars. A woman cries on camera about her divorce. and Twitter debates whether she's faking it for screen time. We've stopped rooting for resolution and started rooting for destruction. Even Andy Cohen, the franchise's enthusiastic overlord, seems tired. You can see it in his eyes during the reunion episodes. He's sitting on a couch with 7 screaming women, sipping from a tiny water bottle, wondering if this is what he had in mind when he pitched the show to Bravo nearly 20 years ago. That's the thing about reality TV. It's supposed to reflect reality, at least a version of it. But after nearly 2 decades, The Real Housewives reflects nothing but its own fame. It's become a snake devouring its own tail, addicted to drama for drama's sake, and increasingly detached from any relatable human experience. What's the legacy? For some, it's iconic lines and GIFs that will live forever. For others, it's a cautionary tale of what happens when television stops telling stories and starts creating caricatures. Either way, it's time for the credits to roll.